No other investment can take your portfolio higher like penny stocks, but how do you find the stocks for those double and triple digit returns? In this video, I'll show you how to find penny stocks to buy, including the same process I used to pick a stock that's jumped 79% since last April. We're talking how to invest $1,000 in penny stocks today on Let's Talk Money.
Beat debt.
Make money.
Make your money work for you.
Creating the financial future you deserve.
Let's talk money.
Hey Bowtie Nation, Joseph Hogue with the Let's Talk Money channel here on YouTube. I want to send a special shout out to everyone in the nation. Thank you for spending a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. Now, those of you in the nation know how penny stock returns can really boost your portfolio. I recommended Eldorado Gold, ticker EGO, back in April of last year as one of my favorite small cap stocks, right around when the stock was at $4.50 at a share and just before it exploded higher. Within 5 months, the shares touched $10 each and are still at 79% return after coming down a little bit. Now, these can be short-term plays as well as those long-term investments, and I'm going to show you how to invest in each later in the video. We looked at Ryerson Holdings, ticker RYI, last October, just before it jumped 51% by January. Now, it's since gotten caught in that market crash, but it's a great example of that short-term money you can make in these penny stocks. In this video, I'll show you how I pick penny stocks, the screener I use, and those fundamental factors. I'll show you an investing strategy to invest $1,000 in penny stocks and reveal 3 small cap stocks that I'm watching right now. I'll be using the Webull app for screening and testing this strategy. I've been using that app since late last year, and this thing was built for traders. Besides that commission-free trading, you get all the technical charting and analysis you need, access to analyst ratings and earnings estimates. Webull is also just rolling out options trading and is releasing cryptocurrency trading pretty soon. I'll leave a link in the description box below for more information on that app, as well as a way to get 2 free shares of stock when you open your account. Now, the first thing I'll do when looking for a good penny stock investment is run through a quick search on the Webull screener. Something just to narrow down the list from the thousands of small cap stocks. So I'll go into the app and do the screener. You can create a new screen or just use an old one. And I'm first going to look for companies with a market cap, that's the company size, from $200 million to $1 billion. I like to keep it in this range, so I'm investing in companies with at least some financial size, but not so big that they lose that flexibility. Then I'll add this debt to assets screen, and we'll move this slider to just under 50% debt leverage. And I really like that the screener updates with an estimate of the number of companies as you're playing around with it. Now I'm also going to go in and I'm going to use these return on assets, the ROA, and the return on equity, ROE screens to find companies that are performing well, that have good profitability and performance metrics. Now we can use the sliders here to move these around, and really what we're looking for is just at least positive returns on those assets and the equity. Finally, you can use some of these technical indicators as well, just to narrow your list down further and find some of those short-term plays. I like this relative strength index, the RSI, to find those oversold stocks at the moment, and we're still left with 144 stocks that meet these criteria. So if we click through to any of these, then you can get all the technical charting and the info that you're going to need for the news and analysis, orders flow, this distribution flow here. Now that screener is really going to narrow your list down, but I also want to use some fundamental analysis just to pick that handful of stocks I think can give us some really good long-term investments as well as some of those short-term gains. So here I'm going to be generally looking at 3 things in the financials. These are in the financial statements. And first, I want to find companies that have grown their sales over at least the last 2 or 3 consecutive years. Even if a company isn't profitable yet, it's still at least getting closer with those positive sales trends. Now, I also want to see a consistently higher operating margin. Operating margin, this is the operating income divided by the sales on that income statement. So operating income divided by total sales. Now that trend is hugely important, especially for these small, fast-growing companies. You see, most penny stock companies, they're growing sales so fast, they're laser focused on growth, that they're sacrificing efficiency for that growth in this stage. Sales are growing, but they're also spending so much on marketing and so much on staff that operating margin, that profitability is decreasing. But if you can find a company that's growing sales and becoming more profitable while they're doing that, you've got the potential to see earnings explode. I also want to watch for runaway debt in these companies, because a lot of these, they're going to get loose with that spending and just start using lots of debt instead of keeping things lean. They're focused on that growth, nothing else. They're borrowing as much just to fuel that growth. Now, management rationalizes this, and it's okay to borrow because the company is growing so quickly, but it's just a noose that slowly tightens around the company's neck. So I'm looking for companies that are able to produce those sales, that sales growth, do it efficiently and stay lean without blowing out their debt to equity ratio. And what I want to do here, I want to run through this process in a couple of different sectors, right? So run this screener in different sectors. And this is hugely important, folks, and it's something that most penny stock investors really miss or just avoid altogether. They do a simple screen and invest in just a few names, but they don't even realize all their stocks are in a single sector like maybe energy and biotech, those high growth names. So what happens is that some broad force like regulatory risk or lower oil prices come along and just destroys their entire penny stock portfolio because it's all in just one theme or one sector. So instead, and this is where we start talking about that $1,000 strategy, you want to look at 2 or 3 themes to spread your bets around. So what you want to do, you want to pick 2 or 3 sectors or themes that you think can do really well over the next year. It can be sectors of the economy like healthcare or industrials. It can be a theme like 5G stocks or automation. Basically, what you want to do is pick from a group of stocks that are going to have the wind at their back. That are going to have those bigger picture economic benefits, at least for the next year, to give them some momentum. So you have your 2 or 3 groups of stocks, and you can use that screener, or you can just look for 2 or 3 penny stocks in each of these. That's going to mean about 8 to 10 individual stocks, and you invest that $1,000 across that group, so maybe 100 or 200 in each. Now, once you've found some penny stocks that you might want to buy, you can either buy the shares straight out or use this paper portfolio feature in Webull to follow the stock for a while. The app gives you $1 million to test out different strategies and stocks in this paper portfolio before you make a real trade. So you go into the app, and you can see I've already been doing this, been testing out a few stocks on my own with these simulated trades. If you go into a stock and click paper trading, it's going to take you to a page to buy the shares. Then it's basically just like a normal trade where you put in an order to buy the number of shares you want. I can follow these stocks in my paper portfolio just as if it were real money. Now, I want to get to those 3 penny stocks that I'm watching, but there is a difference here between penny stock investing and kind of investing that we usually talk about on the channel. Now, I've got some penny stocks that I'm in it for the long haul. These are the companies that I think can really change the game in their industry. So I'm in it for as long as it takes. But there's also that idea of the shorter term trade, and where I probably wouldn't do this with large cap stocks, this is a legit strategy for penny stocks. These smaller stocks just tend to bounce around a lot, so even those good long-term picks can go from gains to losses in a matter of days. And so if you're not in a company as a buy and hold investment, so that long-term hold, make sure you have a price target and a strategy for taking those gains. Our first penny stock here is Phreesia, ticker PHR, an $800 million provider of payment and patient software in the healthcare space. Healthcare information services, or HIS, is a huge trend right now and probably will be for the next decade. It's really helping to bring down some of those costs of medical care. Now, Phreesia booked $100 million in sales last year and estimates an addressable market of over $7 billion, so huge room for growth on this one. The company's software is already serving over 1,600 medical providers right now and has been named Best Patient Intake Software for 2 years by KLAS. Sales were up 25% last year, and what I really like about the company is this balance sheet. Phreesia has over $91 million in cash and just $23 million in debt, so huge financial flexibility and a healthy balance sheet on this one. Analysts have price targets from $32 a share to $36 over the next year, and I think this is a solid long-term pick. Delek US Holdings, ticker DK, is a $900 million company in the downstream energy segment. Downstream just means that it's closer to the end customer, so in that refining and the gas station segment of the market. Now, I know energy stocks have gotten hammered lately, and oil prices will likely stay lower for a while, which could hurt the upstream explorers. I like the downstream segment, though, because those lower gas prices could mean more demand, especially as we get closer to those key summer driving months. So against that broader energy sell-off, this crash in energy stocks, I think there's actually a short-term opportunity in Delek here. The company is well diversified in that downstream space with 302,000 barrels per day of refining capacity. It owns 10 terminals across the South, 252 retail stations, and assets in that biodiesel production as well. The shares pay a 6.7% dividend, which is unheard of in penny stocks, and while the company does have $2.7 billion in debt, it also has $950 million in cash, so it's still a fairly healthy balance sheet. Analyst targets here range from $18 a share on the low end to $42 each over the next year. The fact that Energy Recovery, ticker ERII, is only down 3% from our previous video, and in this market, had to put it back on my list. The company provides desalination services for water treatment, as well as waste recycling and recovery services in the oil and gas industry. Now, it's grown its revenue by a 25% annual pace over 4 consecutive years, while only growing those operating expenses by 7% a year. So this is a company that's growing quickly, but keeping a lid on those expenses. Energy Recovery has $90 million in cash on the balance sheet and only $12 million in debt, so this is a pristine financial position. The fact that the shares aren't falling as much as that broader energy sector, combined with the strong balance sheet, gives me more confidence in this one. Now, there's only 2 ranked analysts on this one with price targets of $13 a share, so not much to go on, but this is a solid company in what's otherwise a tough energy market. Check out the video on the right for the 10 dividend stocks I'm buying for 2020. 10 great companies with solid cash flow. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.